Prepare for a fusion of knowledge and exhilaration where education and excitement collide.
Taking you on an adventure that expands your mind and speaks to your spirit.
I'm Master Nick.
I'm Lady Dee.
We are the Dom Life.
This podcast contains sexually explicit topics and adult content.
It is intended for listeners 18 and older.
The opinions expressed in this podcast are ours alone, based on our personal thoughts, feelings, and experiences.
We understand that others may have different opinions and experiences, and we respect that. We would love to hear from you. You can reach out to us at www.thedomlife.com. And here we are for another week.
Yay!
Sitting here with a special guest again.
A very special guest.
Yes, so we are going to continue our little series of intro into dominations with other dominants and submissives. So we'd like to welcome to the show MiLady Kay.
Hi, guys. Thanks
Hi,
for
MiLady
having me.
Yay, and
So
we only
excited
have
to be
one.
here.
We only have one
There
person
is only
with us.
one.
I know.
But
That's two.
The twist is you are a switch, which means you are a dominant in some scenes and a submissive in others. So you get to play
Yes.
both roles today.
The best of both worlds.
Best of both worlds. I like
all
it.
of both worlds.
That's right. All right. So we actually met MiLady Kay, surprisingly enough,
I got in trouble that night.
at Club Tempted.
I know. I didn't even know you got in trouble until like almost a year later.
I
You
got in
told me about
trouble
it.
that night.
Wow. Okay.
Do
I
you
don't-
remember that?
We may have to reminisce a little bit. You may have to tell the story.
Yeah, but you got to promise me I'm not going to get punished again.
I'll try to make that promise.
You know, you either promise or don't promise, but you have to do one right now.
Well, hell, that was like over 2 years ago,
Yeah,
right?
that's been a long time
All
ago.
right, so yeah, there's no punishment.
So the night that we met was in the dungeon at Club Tempted, and there had probably been some other interaction, but we were up in the dungeon and we walked in. Kay had Zora on the cross that night, and we were, I don't know, dragged up there. Hey, come up to the dungeon type of thing. And there were a bunch of women. This was the night that all the women were underneath the bench.
Okay, in the cage.
In the cage.
Okay.
And MiLady Kay was actually actively flogging somebody. And we walked in and I said, I want her to flog me.
Okay.
And had not spoken to you about it at all. Literally just ran away from you up to the cross because I was so excited. And you were not happy with me. I did not ask permission in the right way that night, and it was so bad. There was a couple of words that happened the next day on
Wow.
the behavior of me. But
Okay.
I was very excited because we hadn't really
It was an
interacted.
exciting night. It was when they had that little dungeon, and there was so many subs in there. That was really hectic for me because that was like kind of the first time I really actually had so many subs in there at one time, and it was me and Dante and then another Dom that we hang out with as well that was all topping all these girls, and there was just so many girls, and I was like, I can't keep up.
It was a crazy night.
Yes, and then we were like, well, how many girls can we get in this cage? So we just started shoving all of them in this cage and start taking pictures. just
I
to
did
see-
not go in. I stayed on the outside because I'm claustrophobic.
Yeah, I actually looked at the pictures just to look them up to see, and you weren't in them. And yeah, we was all sitting on the top of it too, taking pictures and stuff, because that was a really big night. That was, I think, probably the first time I ever had that many people in there at one time that I was interacting with. It was a lot.
It was so much fun.
But it was so much fun. Yes,
it
I had
was
so much fun.
And I've
I
sat
don't
here-
even remember, was there an event that night?
I think it might have been like just like a Freaky Friday or something like that. It wasn't.
Wow, I'm sitting here
anything.
still trying
don't
to...
remember it.
I remember bits and pieces.
Yeah, I remember bits and pieces too. I don't remember a whole lot, but I do know it was very overwhelming for me.
You had
And
2 people at the cross at the same time.
Yes.
And switching out.
we had 4 because there was 2 on one side of it and then 2 on the other side of it. So we were like going back and forth with all 4 girls. And then there was other girls waiting. So we had to like switch them out. It was a lot.
Do you miss the old dungeon?
Yes and no.
I miss it because people walked through all the time.
Yes.
And it was so nice to have the audience that you had. Now we get in this area, it's people going to and from the bathroom.
Yes.
It's a little bit quieter. And so people are talking even louder. It's not like a quiet zone anymore.
Yes.
So it's a little bit different.
It is. I do like the space they have, though. I do
I like it
that it's
bigger.
It's bigger, and you can actually bring more people in there and
Right.
actually play. And because the little dungeon, when you had too many people in there, you couldn't
Swing.
Yeah, you were swinging and hitting everybody. It was just way too small.
It has its pros and cons. Again,
Yeah.
I do like the size a lot better, but I do hate that we don't get the traffic going through there as often as we do now.
I like the traffic that comes through too.
However, most people that come to the club, they will eventually sometime through the night swing by just to see what's going on in the dungeon, but you don't get the whole great big crowd that we used to get.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, you
We
couldn't
still do.
even
We still
pass
get
through the
crowds now.
hallway.
On the bigger parties.
On the
you'll
bigger
you'll
nights you do.
you'll get a few crowds
Right.
in there. I do like the fact that it has a big window so people can actually see from outside. They don't actually have to come in.
Right.
Because the little dungeon, it was like as you're going up the stairs.
Right.
So
And nobody can
and it was
see
yeah,
that.
you can't see because it's kind of like you had to be on your tippy toes looking and be tall. So everybody was like, around that door, or they was trying to like come in. So it was just making it more crowded in there, and it would get so hot because there
Oh,
was
yes.
so many people.
Yep, it was.
Yeah. I have a question. What do you remember about us? Like either
My
the
most
night we
memorable
met?
night?
Yeah, that would be good.
With you all,
Yes.
by far has to be the opening of Ex Libris. Do you remember that night?
I do remember that night.
That by far, but like still to this day, is one of my like top play sessions ever. And it was me and another friend, a sub. And you had us, they had these chains that were
Yep.
hanging from the ceiling.
Yep.
So you chained us together.
Yes.
And you would.
She is so crazy that she would just climb up on you.
Yes, she's amazing. I
pictures.
love her so much. She's a wonderful person. And yes, we were like pretty much hanging there, being silly, doing silly things. And then, of course, you restrained us on these chains, and we started playing with the electric, with the
we
violet
had
wand.
the electric
Yes.
wand out. Yes.
And every single time you would zap one of us, it would go through the chain and then zap the other one. So we felt it too. And it was just such an amazing feeling to feel it like through her coming to me.
Right.
And then while you were using the wand on one of us, Lady D was over there like, rubbing on us, kissing on us, giving us all that little, sensory play stuff. So we got a little bit
Right.
of both. So
Right.
it was an awesome night. It was an amazing night.
Well, I'm so glad that that's one of your good memories.
Yes, that's one of my best memories. Like as our play session, and then the one that stands out a lot to me too is like New Year's. I think it was the first New Year's we were there. It had to have been the first New Year's, and I don't have a lot of DOMs that I allowed to taught me. And you came to me, and you had been playing. All these subs were over there, and you was playing, giving them, and then you came to me, and you was like, do you want me to use the wand? And I was like, yes, please do. And I was like, and that was, so I've never really experienced the wand in we had like pretty much a session. It was,
Right.
it was a long session, and I never had that. Like I'd dabbled with it, but never had an actual experience. And I was so grateful for that experience because I'm so in love with electric now because of that night.
Yeah. The electric wand is always a fan favorite.
Yes.
A lot of people.
Except last night when you were using it on me all by ourselves. He has some new attachments.
I bought some new electrodes, and
nice.
some of them
And-
are pretty fun.
Oh,
Ooh,
fun for
I
a
can't
dom.
wait.
Fun for a dom.
I can't wait to try them out.
We will
I don't know.
definitely-
Well, so my Dom, he has all the electric stuff, and he
Right.
has like so many freaking attachments, and
Yep.
I don't know. I probably already have tried it, but
I don't know. He's bought some new ones, so you'll have
We'll
to take a
see.
look and
Yep.
see if you've experienced it. Because he's got some that aren't fun anymore.
Yeah, my
Metal ones.
yeah, my yeah, he has some metal ones, and he has one that I'm not a very big fan of.
Probably
too.
my favorite one right now is the brush
I
Oh,
love the
because
brush.
it produces
Yes.
such a bright
So-
white spark.
Yes.
Before, yeah.
So he has the brush, and that was the first time I'd ever experienced
one that's
the metal brush.
Yep.
And I absolutely love the brush. That's one of my favorite attachments that he has.
Really? All right.
Yes, I love it.
I'll remember that.
Okay.
Now you can't go in like hardcore with it.
You don't want to dial it up to 10.
Yeah, but I love it. And you want to get me start laughing and giggling. You put it up there a little bit, and I just can't stop giggling. I love it.
All right.
It's amazing.
I will definitely remember that. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, MiLady Kay, and about how you found out you were a dom submissive switch? Where did it start? How did it start? And when did it start?
Well, I've always been like a person where I love to dabble in a little bit of everything and explore. And I was really like wanted to get into the BDSM kink world for a really, really long time. And pretty much every partner that I ever had, I tried to get them to experiment and do things, and they never would. And then one day I was talking to a friend that was going through a divorce, and they were talking about starting the kink world and the swinger world. And so we kind of collided and started together. And that was probably maybe 10 years ago, I guess.
Okay.
And I went in subby. So I came in as a sub, and then gradually that changed to a switch. I started being more of a dom, and that's kind of what I've taken on more of the dom role the last couple of years. And that was because Club Tempted was opening up, and we heard they had a dungeon, so we were super excited about it. And Zora was like, didn't have a dom at the time, so Dante was not in the picture yet.
Yeah, that's close to the time we came in too.
Yes,
We almost had a unicorn.
yes. So I was like, well, I'm really interested in the dom part of it and in impact play, because I never really done impact play. So I pretty much started topping Zora, and she started topping me from the bottom and teaching me how to with the impact play.
Right.
So it was an amazing experience. So then Dante came along, of
And
course.
he took her.
He took
from
her.
Everybody. But
Yes, but
we love him too.
Yes, and he still allows me to play with her too. So I still get my time with her.
Right.
I play
not as
with
much.
everyone.
Yes.
And I literally do it by running up behind people and saying, "Oh, do you want to feel this?" And that's my sensory able to play with everyone. And then when
Yes.
Master Nick has anybody up on the cross, if it's people that I know, I get involved too. About maybe 30 to 40% of the time, I will be on the other side of the cross playing and doing whatever, because I enjoy having the people that I know enjoy themselves even more.
Me too.
Right.
That's my kink. I get off on it. I love seeing people
Right.
having pleasure. But honestly, so all this time I thought that's where I kind of came into the BDS world. And when we were floating in your pool,
That just a few months ago.
yeah,
Yes.
I realized that is not where I first started being a top or dom, whatever you want to call it. So
Both.
yeah. So like probably more I came in as a dom because in my early mid-20s, you remember the whole AOL dial-up?
Yes, I do remember.
And you remember the chat rooms?
I still hear that sound occasionally
Yes.
in my head as
Yep.
we're trying to connect. But
Yes.
yes, the chat
And
rooms.
you would go into the chat rooms, and that's where I discovered a whole new world. And I realized I am not as good as I thought I was. I'm not as good and wholesome.
You're not such a good girl.
No. So I started exploring the chat rooms, and then I found one, and I had this guy, and I just loved it. And we did the video chats, and he was a sub. He was a sissy.
Okay.
And I would make him dress up in lingerie and masturbate for me and a lot of things.
And all the
and
things.
all the things. And we had a relationship, It's like I would go on there and pretty much, tell him what to do, tell him what to wear,
So, MiLady Kay, you started this many years ago.
and didn't
Yep.
even
And
realize
didn't realize it
We-
until a few months ago.
Every
It-
conversation that we've pretty much had with doms and submissives have come up with stories that they didn't realize they were doing kink before it was kink.
Yeah, and I didn't realize this until like 2 months ago in the pool.
Right. That's what I'm saying. We was out in the
Yeah.
pool, and it was just me and you.
Yeah.
Lady D had come in, I think, to start making some food or something. And
Yes.
you was discussing that. And then the look on your face, it was like the light bulb went
Yes.
off, and you were like, holy shit, I've been doming for many years now.
Yes.
So
I
that
didn't
was-
even realize it, but that was like my first like dom experience.
I had a jacket that I totally forgot about that's a daddy's girl. It was a white silk back in the day, white silk with the back that I put on in stitch, daddy's girl. And I was in my 20s and I never thought about what that meant.
Yep.
Right.
I was being that before I, came to the realization as an adult and made the decision that this is what I need in my life.
Right.
So going back, so I was recently asked a question on one of our Facebook posts. Don't you have to start out as a sub before becoming a dominant? What is your stance on that? Because although you did the dominant traits in the chat rooms and all that, you started off as a sub,
Yes.
and then now you're transitioning to the dom. Do you feel that it has helped you by being a sub first? Or,
I do.
Okay.
I feel like I'm a better dom because of it.
Right.
I feel that even though it may feel different with everybody, I feel like I can still relate
Okay.
to what they're going through because I've been there.
Okay.
I feel naturally submissive. It came across very clear when we were playing with Chris and I asked if I could hit him with an implement
Yes.
and everybody laughed. They cracked up. But it was a new implement and it wasn't something I had used, so I
Right.
asked. Do you ever have that kind of a conflict in you?
Sometimes, but I vary. I'm kind of all over the place.
I mean,
sometimes
once-
it kind of might depend on my mood and just where I'm at. Sometimes I'll be really subby, and then sometimes I like to be more dominant.
And
Right.
that's perfect. I mean, once he said that Mandy was more mean or something that
Right.
night, I was like, I can be mean. I'll show you mean.
Yeah, I did
Right.
not realize. I can be really mean. I didn't realize I was like that until some of my subs says, "Yes, you do have
Right.
sadist in you." I'm like, "No, I don't." They're like, "Yes, you do."
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I think so."
Yeah,
I guess
I
I
Well,
am.
and you explained it to us just a little bit ago upstairs that when you work with somebody for a while, what happens? You want to push them.
Right.
Yes, I want to push their boundaries because they think they can't take it, but I know they can.
Right.
So, and they're
And
gonna.
that's-
But it's not just. It's not. I guess I might say that wrong, but I know they're gonna get pleasure from it.
Right.
And that's
Well,
pretty
it's
much
once you get to know
Yes.
them, and it's the same way. If I play with somebody new, I'm going to keep it as gentle and sensual and soft as I can.
Same.
But once I play with you 4, 5, 6 times, and I'm starting to learn your body and your face reactions and the way you moved, whether you enjoy it or whether you're not enjoying it, then from that point on, then I will start going just a little bit harder, a little bit heavier, seeing, if I can move that. And it's not really the limit of the person I'm playing with. It's the limit I'm willing to give them. So I push my own limits on somebody that I've played with a lot to see what reaction they like. And if they like it, then I keep moving in that direction.
Yes.
Yes.
That
So-
makes total sense.
Yeah, I had a sub that, actually yesterday, last night while we were out, told me that, my little paddle that I have, the real thin one, she's like, I hated that thing at first. And she goes, and now I freaking love it.
Right.
And I was like, see? I
Yep.
was like,
But that's what it takes. I mean, it's
Yes.
getting to know the people that you're playing with and understanding what they like,
and I
what
feel
they
like
don't
sometimes they just need to get out of their head about it because we
Yes.
get into our head. Because I know I do, and that's why I kind of push them a little bit more just to try it. I was like, just try it, and if you don't like it, don't do it again.
like. Right.
Right.
Be like, no, that's a hard limit. That's a no. But you never know until you experiment
Right.
and actually experience it.
Right.
I wouldn't be here today if I didn't get out there and start doing all this stuff.
Exactly.
Well, you said you're a pleasure dom. Explain what that means to you.
I get pleasure from other people's pleasure.
I can agree with that. I'm the same way.
So if my pleasure is pain,
then I'm going to enjoy inflicting pain.
well, my pleasure
Correct.
is not pain.
Your pleasure is not. But if your pleasure was pain, take like Zora, for example. Zora wants the pain. Zora wants the marks. Zora wants the
Yes.
bruises. So therefore, with her, when I play with Zora, I know that I can push myself further
Right.
with her than I can with Lady D.
Yeah, and that's where I get off. I get off on you getting off.
Right.
So, and that's why every sub is different on
Yes.
where I can go with them. And that's like one of my first questions to anybody, like, what's your kinks? What's your fantasies? What turns you on? Like, I want to know all of it. So
This is
I
what
can
we
give that
wanna
to
know
you.
too.
Yeah. Because I'm getting off on you getting off. Now, if I'm causing you, like, you're not enjoying it.
If you're flinching,
Yeah,
and
if you're
just
flinching,
like,
you're like, I'm like, that's not gonna
Yeah.
do it for me. I'm like, no, I want to. I want to bring you pleasure. I
so
want to
you
make you
can
happy.
be a sadist and still a pleasure
Yes.
dom.
Yes.
Because you're matching the energy of the submissive. You're
and-
matching their
Yes,
kink.
a dom can hold many hats. They can be all over the place with a lot of different things.
Right.
They're
Yes.
not. I don't feel like you don't have to generate just towards one type of dom.
Right. But and correct me, I mean, you've been around the scene longer than me, but in my eyes, I feel that each dom has their own unique specialty.
Yes.
That is what they enjoy doing the most.
Yes.
It's
But
like
you
their
take-
core traits.
Right. You
Yes.
take like for me, pleasure dom, impact play mixed with electric wand. That is what I am better at
Yes.
than sensual play and
Yes.
sensory deprivation, because
yes.
although I enjoy doing it, if you're not purely enjoying the whole thing, then to me it's not. I would much rather put you on the cross, use my impact toys and my electric wand over anything.
Right. And I'm more the central play to where I want to do all that.
Right.
And we're
The-
going to do the dungeon.
Yes.
So I'm really getting excited about that.
Yep. So
Because
we're going to do the sensory depth, sensual play.
it will be. So sometimes in our play, I get that accidentally. So when we were doing the wax play, Master Nick had to rub lotion into me. So see that? I got my sensory play by accident. I'm
Right.
just saying. And then afterwards, you have to scrape it. There's a little wooden
Yes.
knife on the table.
Yeah.
You scrape it all or peel it all off. And that is sensory too.
Yes.
It's sensation play.
Yeah.
And he had to do that. And so I got some needs met that he didn't even realize he was
Yeah.
doing.
Yes.
and for
And that's
me-
what my love language is physical touch. So that's where I feel like I
Right.
shine as the central play part of
Right.
it.
And I absolutely hate lotion. And here I am having to.
I love it.
Get
I
it
love
all
giving
over my
massages. I
hands.
love rubbing.
Master Nick and Loki both ran to the sink
To wash our hands
to
immediately
wash
after.
off lotion.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Because I can't stand it feels like I'm going to drop everything that I touch if I don't get it
It
off
was
my hands.
hilarious.
Yeah, it was good.
So, how long have you been part of a dominant submissive relationship? Like,
Well, mostly like within the last 10 years, I've had a couple. I started out with the daddy doms, and I was a baby girl. I'm still a baby girl. And I did a little bit.
that'll work with your sensual soul.
Yes. I like being taken care of.
Huh. Me too.
Yes. And
Maybe
then
I need to change my. Oh, mine says little girl right on it.
It does.
I'm not a little.
Right,
but
you can
I
say-
like, yeah, with the age play, like the little was like too much for me. That's why I went by baby girl instead of the little. Because I go like little, middle, and something else. I'm not sure.
I don't
remember.
know.
I don't really, yeah. It's
We
age
don't. We
plays.
haven't done.
I didn't know
we
there
haven't
was
done-
stages
There's
of it.
There's
Okay.
stages in age play.
I do little girl, but not because of that. Just because I didn't identify really as a baby girl. So it was like, but I'm not a little either, obviously.
Now, when my daddy Don called me baby girl, that was like, ooh, it just sends like chills
Right.
down my spine. I loved it. Got me wet every time.
And that's how she was with little girl. She liked being called that. But again, like she said, she never acted as a little or done any of that aspect of it. She just liked the name of little
Gotcha.
girl.
Yeah, and I did the pet play where I used to wear the ears and the tail.
Okay. Was you a cat or a dog?
I was a fox.
You was a fox. No
You
kidding.
were a fox.
I was a little baby girl fox.
Aw.
Awesome.
Yeah, and my pet
how,
name,
like-
my pet name used to be Baby Girl, Foxy Baby Girl.
Foxy. baby girl.
How? Okay. Let's keep talking. I was gonna. It just interests me so much that you started out in this submissive role.
Huge submissive.
Right. It sounds to me, and with a lot of different play. So you were trying to gather experience.
Yeah, and I'm experienced. Yes, I was kind of dabbling in a little bit of everything, just kind of seeing what I liked. And I did. I mean, I do like it. I would still do it now. I guess this life changes the way it does by like who you interact with, who you
Right.
connect with. And those were relationships that we had. And one thing that I do struggle with is finding relationships that do the dynamic. And that makes it hard and like what their dynamic is. And it's like, it's hard to say, well, this is what we're going to do. You know, it just doesn't work that way.
So
And
you're kind of fitting it based on your relationships.
some of it, yes. But I have, now that I've been in the lifestyle, probably, I mean, in the community, I say community. I've been in the lifestyle for a really, really long time, but I didn't realize there was a community.
Okay.
So I've been within the community for a little over, probably about 10 to 15 years now. And it has really made me shine and realize who I am with. I'm very secure about who I am as a person, what I want. And now with a partner, I can talk to them, say, this is what I want, this is what I need. And if I can't get this, then we're not suitable for each other, and move on. And that's kind of where I've been dabbling into the poly scene.
Right.
Okay.
So we definitely want to know a little bit more about that, because it's not, we haven't had anyone on here. Loki mentioned, but it was briefly.
Yeah,
We
and
haven't,
It was a prior relationships that.
but
he had.
you're in an active poly
Yes.
relationship. So explain that a little bit.
Yeah. He has a wife and then a couple of partners. He's just my only one partner right now, but we are open. I do date other people, but he's the only main one that I have right now. And he's also a dom as well. So I need a little bit of both. And he's a swinger. So it's really hard to find somebody who swings and is in kink. Usually it's one or the other.
Right.
Yeah. With us, we're in kink.
We're in
Yes.
kink more than we are swingers.
And then
Right.
put in my age there too. And it's like, it's so hard to date nowadays.
Right. Especially
struggle.
with the experience. It's not a world that that's easy to navigate when you're older. I mean,
Correct.
when you're young, everybody's just,
Yes.
but now when you're confident and secure in who you are and you know what you want,
Yeah.
it's much harder to find.
Yeah, and I do like the poly thing because like poly is like multiple loves, and I love people.
You are in a poly relationship. Tell us a little bit more about what's the difference between a poly and an open.
So a poly is more like multiple loves. It's loving multiple people. Open is more of you have just sexual partners.
Okay.
Now it can vary depending on the person, of course, but most of your open relationships don't have any type of intimacy.
Okay.
But the poly world, you do. So that's kind of where the difference is, I guess. And I don't know. I go back and forth about the poly thing. I do like it. I'm a kitchen table poly, which means I want to know all my partners, and I want to be friends with them. It's like, and not everybody's like that. And that's kind of where I struggle a lot.
Okay.
And some people they're what they call parallel. They don't want interaction with their other partners. And
It's called parallel then?
Yes, it's called parallel. And I respect that, but it's really hard for me because I want to know who's important to my other, to my partner.
Right.
Because automatically they're important to me because they're in my partner's life.
Right. That makes total sense.
Yeah.
I would have, I think we talked a little bit about it. Poly relationships are difficult for me because I feel like I need my one person for support and for all the things. If I didn't have Master Nick, my life would fail in so many different pieces. And even though I'm a strong, independent, take care of myself, make money, all that stuff, I need in a daily basis the affirmation of a partner in my life.
Now, they do have like poly, in that way, Nick would be your primary, and then you can have secondary relationships. Poly is a little bit different from everybody. Poly is just kind of like an umbrella term for a lot of non-monogamy things.
Okay.
And it's hard to like kind of like you just have to talk to the individual, what they're open to, if they're closed, what their dynamic is. It's just kind of like all over the place.
I just
Okay.
don't know that I have enough energy.
Yes, it can get exhausting, and it's a lot.
I mean, if you were in your 20s, you probably would.
Probably.
I mean,
then.
can you imagine having to communicate and talk to her all the time and try doing that with multiple people?
Oh,
But
fuck
see,
that. Nope, I'm out.
Shut up. But here's the thing on it. If you flip that, I would then have multiple partners to spread my words with.
Yes.
So on the flip side, it might alleviate some of your.
It might. No, because then every conversation would be, was I telling you or was I telling this one? But regardless, here's what I'm going to tell it
Yes.
again if you did hear
And that's
it.
pretty much
that
where
would
I'm
be-
at because I forget things a lot. It's like, I don't know if I remember if I told you this or not, but I'm going to tell you again. Just stop me if I did. Like,
Yeah.
I don't remember who I was talking to, but I do that with friends too.
Right.
So it's kind of the same.
So
but-
what was your first, and I'm asking this a little bit different, what was your first kinky experience that you were not computer face-to-face with somebody? Your first kinky experience sexually face-to-face. Do you remember? Because you've talked about a big history in this where you kind of went, oh, that made you step deeper into the
Yeah, that's where I kind of like my head's going because I wasn't prepared for that one. My whole first like sub relationship, I remember that one where he like tied me up and pretty much did like the whole sensory stuff and
So he started with sensory stuff on
he
you.
did all the sensory stuff and then kind of pretty much forced orgasms. But to really think
forced orgasms.
Yes, forced orgasms.
Oh,
Those
yeah.
never happen
All the time.
live on air.
But like to think about it, like I've actually been tied up before, like in other relationships, but me not thinking it's really BDSM, but it kind of is. And he
Right.
had like this whole thing about knife play.
Oh.
So now I'm like,
Was it real knives?
And it seems like we have run out of time for that episode.
Wow, so you left us on another cliffhanger.
Exactly. What kind of knife was they using on MiLady Kay?
I don't know, but I sure want to hear.
Make sure and come back next week to find out the full details. But also for our listeners, have a very merry, kinky Christmas.
What kind of presents are under our tree, Master Nick?
Guess you're going to have to wait and find out.
Please follow, like, and share our podcast.
Make sure to visit thedomlife.com where you can find pictures and other details about the Dom Life podcast. And through the Contact Us button, you can ask questions or provide recommendations for future episodes.
We want to explore your kink too.
Be sure to check out upcoming events to see where our adventures are taking us and our photo gallery to where we've been.
Thank you for joining us on this journey. We hope you had fun listening and learning with us.
Till next time, keep calm and remember your safe word.
Red, red, red.